greetings, Cap fans, and welcome to episode 251 of the Captain America Comic Book Fans Podcast. Hey, I'm Rick Verbonis, and I'm your host, and I've got the best gosh darn co-host out there. His name, Bob Lucius. Oh, Bob, don't mess with what ain't broke. In the end, the less that was changed about the core original concept, the more compelling the premise became. Luckily for me, it was all there already. It just needed a little buffing. True, we made changes, but 99.9% of those changes were cosmetic in nature. New costumes, new scientific mumbo jumbo, new technological gizmos.
I've not- I have no idea. Were you reading an issue of Time magazine? I don't know what was that.
Not Time magazine, Wizard magazine.
Wizard magazine.
In August of 1997, they interviewed Jim Lee when he talked about his creative philosophy behind his Fantastic Four reboot.
Oh, interesting. Okay, all right. Wizard magazine. That was a fun little magazine for quite a while.
I mean, it became so huge. It's really interesting about the history of Wizard magazine, right? It went from this fanzine kind of thought into a professional magazine that became this huge, like, it owned the creative space for comic books for several years,
Yeah.
right? I mean, like, it was the hot thing. Like, it told you, here's the top 10 hot comics, and it had a price guide, and it had articles, and it had interviews, and it had, new creative art and things like that. And then they started to do conventions,
Hmm.
Wizard World, and they were rivals of like San Diego Comic Con, and then it all went away.
It all went away. Yeah. Well, I guess it was a matter of time anyway. It was a matter of time anyway, right? Can you imagine something like that? Even trying to get off the ground these days. With the
Yeah,
shift in technology and the way that we consume information.
yeah. It's almost like trying to launch a very, 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 very niche podcast in the midst of millions of podcasts.
A sea of podcasts.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But well, yeah. No, please go ahead.
No, obviously I'm referring to us, right?
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Oh, no,
yeah,
no, yeah.
I mean, listen, we've got 250 episodes under our belt.
Yeah.
One of these days we're going to take off, Bob.
It's just a matter of time when the right person stumbles upon it.
Yeah. No,
Right.
and the funny thing is, so now I know when people are listening to this, because, this is going to come out. If you're listening to this on the day it comes out, this comes out on at the end of July, right? This is Wednesday, July 30th. If you're listening to it on the day it comes out, but we're recording this on July 8th, and so it's fascinating to me that, Bob, we finally went viral.
Yes. Well, I was going to say that, but I didn't know if I should. So I wanted to leave that news to you because you were so excited. I logged on to the interweb and I immediately saw a post by you, and it was the most excited I've seen you in a very long time.
Well, because it was just so cool. So,
Yeah.
I there's a couple different levels going on here, right? This is
Mhm.
it's like the perfect storm, if you would say, right?
Yeah.
So, we a long time ago um, booked Chip Zdarsky to be a guest on the show. Now he is a writer of the brand new Captain America series that launched on July 3rd. And so he had been a previous guest, and we reached out to him and said, look, you've got a brand new Captain America series coming out. Would you be interested in coming back on the show? And I wasn't sure if he would, because when he was on the show the first time, which was after Avengers Twilight,
Yeah.
he had he has this like a weekly e-newsletter that goes out, and he was like, here are 3 different podcasts I've been on. I am never going on podcasts again, and it
Yeah,
was like,
right.
enjoy these because you're not going to get any more. And I was like, oh, okay, all right.
Mm-mm.
I wonder if we'll get him back. And then so I reached out to him, and I also told him, I shared him a little clip of back from December, January 1st, when we were like, if we could have any person on, would it be him? Hoping that maybe he might be impressed by that. And so, but anyway, he was like, yeah, I definitely want to come on the show. And, we need to get you reviewing the first issue of Captain America. So, we worked with Alana Smith. We got in the internal machinations of Marvel, and we end up getting a preview copy of Captain America #1. And so that way, when we spoke with Chip prior to when the first issue came out, we could talk intelligently about that issue. And so here we are. Captain America #1 comes out on the very same day. Our interview with the writer Chip Zdarsky comes out, which we review Captain America #1. I thought that was a coup, and and
Absolutely, it was.
and I would have been happy with that.
Yeah.
Now the next day, July 3rd, I was a guest on NPR's Throughline podcast.
Yeah.
And we haven't talked about that yet on air, I don't think. But
No, we haven't.
um, but yeah, so uh, NPR reached out to me because they said we've got this podcast called Throughline, which is about historical um, subject matters, and we want to do something based on Captain America that comes out July 3rd to tie in with Independence Day. And we've got these guests. We've got um, uh, Steve Englehart, a longtime writer of Captain America, Fingeroff, which is longtime, editor and
Mhm.
writer, for Marvel. We've got this historian, novelist, um, and we'd like to have you. And I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
I was just honored, to be asked to come on the show. And so I did. I come on the show, and they interviewed me for over an hour. I talked about you, Bob, but it got edited down to like 10 minutes, and
Yeah. No,
you know,
yeah.
edit and the cutting room floor.
That's how it
But
works.
it ended up being a 50-some minute
Yeah.
podcast that debuted on July 3rd, and it was about the history of Captain America, and maybe like 10 minutes of me
Hmm.
sprinkled in throughout.
Oh, it was great, Rick. It was, first of all, I've told you this before. Throughline is, I don't listen to a lot of podcasts. I love Throughline. I always listen to Throughline because it takes a deep dive into historical moments, historical events that have long lasting consequences. So, the overthrow of the Shah by the CIA, or, the history of the civil rights movement, And so for them to do a story about Captain America and the history of Captain America, particularly for 4th of July, was mind blowing.
Hmm.
And you did a masterful job, Rick. You really did. You really you presented well. You represented Cap fans well, and it was just a lovely, lovely piece. And my wife even listened separately to the entire thing. Like, I didn't sit down and force her to listen to it. She listened to it on her own, of her
Well,
own
that's impressive
volition.
because she doesn't even listen to this
She doesn't.
series.
She's,
Yeah,
yeah, right. And she told me after how much she enjoyed it, and she even, she made a social media a post about
she
it,
did.
not
Yeah.
not only on Facebook, but on LinkedIn, her
Yep.
professional side, about needing a hero, and recommending that folks listen to it. So it's a wonderful 50 minutes, and folks should take the time to listen to it. You'll learn a lot about Cap, but you'll also be inspired.
Thanks, Bob. And they actually end up mentioning our podcast twice in the course of the story, which was great. And we actually got some listeners from that, which is fantastic. At least yeah, we had a few who mentioned it, like, hey, we found you through Throughline. I was like, that's
Yeah,
fantastic. So,
yeah, it is.
that's exciting. So you would think after the coup with Chip Zdarsky, Captain America #1, Throughline, and those, and that course of 48 hours, like that would be enough. But, Bob,
How
it gets
could it get
better.
better, Rick? How could it?
It did. So one of the questions that was asked to Chip Zdarsky uh, by one of our patrons, Ash Barnes, and yeah, I think longtime listeners have heard her name. She's been on the show a few times, right? And she asked a question that when I received the question via email, I was like, tell
Hmm.
me more about this question
Yeah.
of yours.
Yeah.
And essentially, I don't know how long ago, 6 months, a year. I have no idea. There was Chip Zdarsky was a writer for Daredevil for 3 years, and somewhere online on Twitter or whatever, somebody asked the question, "Does Daredevil cry during sex?" And Chip Zdarsky answered via tweet. And he's like, Daredevil cries before sex and after sex, but not during sex. During sex, he has an effing job to do. And so,
Still funny.
yeah. So that tweet went viral, right? Like it just went huge. And people were talking about it for a very long time. So Ash asked the question that she wanted to me to ask the
You, of
question
course. Yes.
to Chip,
Yeah.
does Steve Rogers cry during sex? And I I didn't know about the Daredevil one. So she explained it to me and I was like, all right, sure, let's have I know Chip has a sense of
You're
humor,
right. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's do it. And but I saved it as the last question. I
Yeah.
wanted to
Yeah.
get through some other questions
It's
before I
hard to
got
come
to it.
back from there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I asked him the question, and then of course, his response was, uh, "No, Steve doesn't cry during sex. He salutes during sex," and then he goes on to tell a little funny, quirk about that.
Yeah.
Well, Bob, the interwebs
Yeah.
picked up on this,
It's just what people needed to hear.
and so one source after another source picked up on this, and next thing you know, millions of people are seeing this conversation, and God bless them. God bless them. The sources who have were were reporting on this actually referenced us. So they either provided a link to our YouTube episode, or they provided a clip of our YouTube episode, or they just mentioned Captain America comic book fans. And Bob, that episode of Chip Zdarsky's interview
Yeah.
is, at least as of today, July 8th, is 15 to 20 times the amount of an average YouTube episode.
Yeah.
And thank you, Ash.
Yeah. We got to get, maybe we should bring Ash on into the writer's room. Have her start
Yeah.
crafting questions for every interview episode.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, listeners, stick around to the end of this episode and we'll tell you next episode what artist we're going to have on the show. We have a pretty big name guest who's going to come on next episode, and we'll reveal that at the end of this episode.
Indeed. All right. That's good stuff. All good stuff.
Yeah. Bob, we should probably get to today's comic.
Yeah, people are probably excited and they don't want to listen to us, Rick.
Yeah. All right. So today's issue that we're covering, Bob, you had suggested this. Do you want to say what you suggested and why?
Well, Rick, we had talked about this, and we were really wrestling with trying to come up with an issue that had both the Fantastic Four and Captain America, because the truth is, Fantastic Four, the movie's coming out, and we wanted to talk a little bit about that. And the fact that we're excited to see it. Of course, it'll already been out by the time that we record this episode. It hits the airwaves, but there's not that many issues that feature Captain America and the Fantastic Four. So probably less than 5 and most of those stories run across several issues. So it really wasn't a starter for us. So we settled on this issue.
Yeah, and we don't. And this is actually kind of funny to me, Bob, because we have yet to tackle the Heroes Reborn of Captain America, right? Which was the volume two Jeff Loeb, Rob Liefeld issues, right? And we've yet to tackle those. And yet here we are going with Heroes Reborn, Fantastic Four. So we're doing this Captain America before we do um, the Captain America Volume Two. I just thought that was a little bit interesting.
Right. Yeah. That day will come, I think, when we're finally going to have to jump in and do a story out of that volume.
We will someday. We will. I do think some point we're really trying to get Jeff Loeb on the show, so I think it'll be perfect timing. Okay, so we are covering today Fantastic Four, Volume 2, Number 3, and this had a cover date of January of 1997. But if you were in the comic shops back on November 6, 1996, this would be on the shelves. Bob, do you want to take us through this really cool Jim Lee Scott Williams cover?
Yeah. So it's a busy cover, Rick. There's no doubt about that, right? And for me, not a big fan of 90s art, right? And this is quintessentially 90s art, but it is extremely detailed, which is what you would expect to find with a Jim Lee. And so there's some sort of destruction behind the heroes. Everything is on fire. There's buildings collapsing. It looks like an apocalypse. And then you see in the foreground, you see the Invisible Woman, Sue Richards, and Namor, and it looks like he's got her by her right arm, and he's holding on, and he is baring his teeth as if he's extremely angry for some reason, which is Namor. That's pretty much his thing,
Yeah,
right?
right?
Right. But facing them and facing the reader, we see three heroes. We see Thor, we see the Thing, and we see Captain America, and they are all looking a little angry as well as they glare at Namor.
And
So
Cap's front and center.
he is front and center. Yeah, large and in charge in this trio.
Yeah. You mentioned 90s art. Honestly, when I think of 90s art, I don't think of Jim Lee. Jim Lee is like classic. Uh,
Mm,
I, I personally see him as timeless. He is super detailed in the mode of a George Perez, but I see him as timeless as like a John Byrne. Like his art has not really changed over time. And when I think of 90s art, I think of I don't know, some just like maybe like a Rob Liefeld, maybe a Dan Panosian,
mm-hmm.
maybe some of these over the top, really like everything is a splash page. Everything is a
Yeah.
huge panel. Everything is a pose. You know, I think as we go through this story,
Yeah.
you will see that not only is Jim Lee detailed like a George Perez, but he's an excellent storyteller.
Uh-huh.
And there's a lot of angles. There's a lot of um, fluidity to his panels. There's a lot of motion. Um, sure, there's some quintessential poses that you will see,
Yeah.
um, but I don't lump him into the
Hmm.
classification of a lot of quote unquote 90s artists.
Interesting. Okay. Well, that's a fair you know, analysis, I guess is the word I'm looking for. It's just not my cup of tea, so I struggle with it a little bit. And
Hmm.
of course, I was out of comics for a while during this time frame, so going back to it, later on, and having, like you, really grown up on a lot of a simpler time of art, right?
Hmm.
Um, this is jarring for my eyeballs, but again, it's the story that really draws me in on this one, and
Hmm.
so I'm really interested to do this one.
So the writers for this particular issue, I think Jim Lee is known as a plotter, and Brandon Coy is the writer slash scripter, and pencils are by Jim Lee. A whole host of people inking. So we have Scott Williams, Alex Garner, Tom McWeeny, John Dickinson, and then we have several colorists as well. So we have Joe Coito, Martin Jimenez, and then Wildstorm FX is also credited here. And the same thing for lettering. We have Richard Starkings, Comicraft, and Dave Lapinier and Edgar Michael Heisler. So it seems like there's a whole team of people that are just punching these books out, right? Like a whole
Yeah.
bunch of inkers and colorists and letterers, in order to probably make a deadline.
Yeah, well, I wonder, like, because the Jim draws in such a detailed style, it must take extra time to, like, like, I don't know what his throughput is like, but just the initial splash, but even that cover, right? But or the splash page, like, how much more time does it take to get to that level of detail, and then to do the ink and the coloring on top of that, right?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. So we open up the front page, and we have a giant splash. And what we see here is a Thor who is flying along, appears to be a Quinjet, and they're passing by the Statue of Liberty. And at the very bottom, we see Captain America's red gloves working a control panel as he's watching a couple of different monitors. And the title to this one, Bob, is,
Revelations.
and we start with what appears to be um, what would you call this, Bob? Like a log?
Yeah, it's like it looks like a computerized log book, right?
Okay.
Where he's maybe typing in some notes or reading some notes that are printed on a screen.
Avengers Battle Log. New York City, 800 hours. There is a job to be done. New York City is under siege. Nick Fury, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., has called upon the Avengers for assistance. Thor and I have taken on the mission of defending the city against the Atlantean Armada of Namor, the Submariner. It's a name from my past, from a bygone era. Once we stood side by side as allies in a war against the worst evil that mankind has ever known. The world has changed a great deal since then, and perhaps we have too. As we fly towards the island of Manhattan, I see her towering over the harbor, shining in the light of the early morning sun, a beacon to all the exiles who travel to these shores, seeking the precious freedom and the dream that I have sworn to protect. As I look into Lady Liberty's eyes, I can only pray that I will always be worthy and do her proud. And then we cut to some monitors that Steve is watching, and there's the SNN News. Called Namor has launched a global campaign against mankind. In the United States alone, his forces have already carried out blitzkrieg like attacks on Washington, D.C., as well as San Francisco. And then we cut to the CBN News. Casualties have been minimal, but it now appears that the bulk of his combat force was being held in reserve for an all out invasion of New York City. Fury quickly brings me up to speed on the crisis, informing me that he already sent in a new team of metahumans to try and repel Namor. They call themselves the Fantastic Four, Apparently, they went into space to investigate a stellar anomaly and were caught in some sort of cosmic fallout. Consequently, each of these gained amazing powers. And who's he talking about, Bob?
Well, he's talking about Dr. Reed Richards and Ben Grimm, who became the Thing, and then of course he's talking about the siblings Johnny and Sue Storm.
As Fury tells us to keep an eye out for them, my mind is already contemplating the coming battle and the stakes at risk. And we get into now we're seeing in that craft that Thor was flying next to, the pilot turns to speak to Captain America. Sir, we're approaching the target zone and it's definitely hot. Just a moment, Lieutenant McKinney. Now I'm ready. And we are greeted with this beautiful, like, half splash of Captain America, a view from below looking up at Cap as he's putting his shield on his right arm. Anything different you notice about this particular Captain America, Bob?
Well, besides putting the shield on the right arm, it's absolutely the emblem on the front of his mask. It does have a resemblance, but it's I don't know. It's hard to get away from that. A stylized eagle is a stylized eagle. So yeah, it does look a little bit like it, but I bet if you were to go through the archives and look at eagle emblems and militaries across history, going all the way back to Romans, you would see some similarities. I wouldn't read too
Mm-hmm.
much into that.
So it's interesting that you noticed, Bob, that he's putting the shield on his right arm.
Well, yeah, we have this. This is one of those things we have a discussion in the Facebook group as well, quite often.
Yeah, I mean he's a righty when it comes to combat, although he trains both left and right arms, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
he wants to make sure he's never at a disadvantage, but he's a natural righty, so he tends to keep the shield in his left arm. But so yeah, that is interesting. Captain America, as a kid, my grandfather used to tell me stories about seeing you in action back in the big one. So before we go in, sir, I just want to say that it's an honor to serve with you. The honor is mine, Lieutenant, to serve alongside America's fighting men and women. Now, let's get a look at what we're up against. Our latest intel puts the main body of the Atlantean strike force advancing inland from the Lower East Side. Thor, that news copter down there is directly in the creature's line of attack. We've got to divert to its attention. Leave that to me, my friend. And what do we see, Bob? What is this creature we're talking about?
Well, I don't know. It's very large, somewhat slug-like. It looks a little bit like those worms from Dune, right? But it's also got these little tiny arms with very big claws on them, and it's blue with red eyes. So it's large. It's bigger than a city block, for crying out loud, and tall as a skyscraper.
Would you describe it as giant?
I would. Humongous.
Yeah. Well, that's great because its name is Gigantor.
Creative.
And then Thor throws his hammer. I shall smite thy beast with my enchanted hammer, Mjolnir. Uh-oh, Cap. Our attack didn't make a scratch on that creature, but we've definitely got its attention now as they're firing weapons from the helicopter onto the gigantic beast. And what does the beast do, Bob?
Well, he shoots a huge energy beam of some sort out his gigantor maw.
Ah, the beast attacks. We have lost our left stabilizer. Brace yourself, we're going down. Keep us clear of any civilian bystanders. I'll do my best, sir. I love the fact that Cap is in a craft that just been struck and is going down, and his first reaction is, be careful of the civilians.
That's the kind of guy he is.
And then we cut to the battleground, and who do we see, Bob?
Well, this is it's Namor, the Submariner, and he's got that Imperious Rex uniform on of his with the the plunging V neckline that reaches down to his belly button, and the gold wings under his arms.
Yeah, this is very similar to the uniform we just described in that recent Nomad issue that we covered, right? With the Nomad meeting Namor.
That's right. That's right. It's about the same time frame.
Yep. Fools! Your paltry weapons are useless against the great whale, Giganto. Did I call him Giganto?
And you call him Gigantor.
Uh, so close, Bob. Spawned by that poisonous pollutants that you humans have for so long discarded into the oceans. He shall now serve as my instrument of retribution to avenge the deaths of innocent Atlanteans who have perished because of your toxic waste. And then the Avengers Quinjet crashes into the ground. And out of nowhere comes the Invisible Woman. Namor, please, you must put an end to all this senseless destruction. As a ruler of Atlantis, I understand why you would seek to avenge the deaths of your people, but is an innocent human life of any less value? Eh? A woman who appears out of thin air? I'm sure that there's a peaceful way to resolve our differences. Your courage is matched only by your beauty, human. Continue. Namor shall hear what you have to say. My name is Sue Storm, and and out of nowhere, we have Mr. Fantastic coming up and stretching himself, wrapping himself round Namor. Take your hands off her. What treachery is this? The Fantastic Four are here to put an end to your reign of terror. Reed, no, he wasn't. Bold words, human. But as you can see, your elastic powers are simply no match for the unbridled might of Namor. Ah! And he pulls Mr. Fantastic off of himself by stretching him. Reed, are you all right? Stretched too far, too quickly. And then Human Torch wasn't having any of that. He fires down at the feet of Namor and surrounds him with fire. Heads up, Gillman. Let's just see how tough you are away from the ocean. Guess you're not feeling so imperious now, are you? Arrogant pup. While your flames may have weakened me, I am far from being defeated, especially when I have you right where I want you. And what did he do, Bob?
He pulled a fire hydrant apart and shot a stream of water right up into the Human Torch.
Ah, he suckered me in. But there's always. This isn't the Fantastic Three, Bob.
No, it's not.
So the fourth member, Thing, Ben Grimm, comes up and he is hulking. I mean, he is huge, right? This big, monstrous orange block of rock just comes up. Hey, fish breath, remember me? Well, I'm here for a rematch. Except this time, we're on my home turf. Water, my strength, slowly returning, but I need more time. You're all out of time, buddy, because I'm about to clean your Huh? And somebody throws a tin can in the back of his head. Go back to where you came from, sea scum. Yeah, clear out of town. Whoa, wait a second. Let's get him. Get back, you idiots. I'm one of the good guys. I haven't I haven't used that word in a long time.
Idiots.
Yeah,
Let's bring it back, Rick.
we really should. Namor looks like he's regained his power. Oaf, your pleas for reason fall upon deaf ears. How ironic that the blind hatred of your fellow man has given me the precious time needed to regain my strength. But now it's you who shall pay the price for their unthinking folly. Now fall at the hands of Namor. Imperious Rex! And he punches him.
Wow.
And Thing goes flying really, really far as it goes through buildings. But at the same time, with his back turned, Thor releases Mjolnir. No one could challenge the power of Namor. Huh? A boastful claim indeed, villain. And the Mjolnir hits him in the back of the body. And Namor yells out in pain. Ah! I shall answer thy name, Namor. Let us see how a son of Atlantis fares against the son of Odin. Thor, so it is true, you walk amongst mankind once again. Heed my warning, God of Thunder. You would do well to stay out of this matter. I cannot. As an avenger, I have sworn to protect the lives of the innocent. Cease this madness, or thou shalt feel the power of my hammer once more. You may be a god, but you stand alone. Even you cannot hope to defeat Giganto. And then we see Cap. No Avenger ever stands alone, Namor. It's time we put an end to all this fighting, once and for all, old friend. You? But that's impossible. It's been over 50 years since we last met. This is another trick. After all we've been through together, you should know that I'm a man of my word, Namor. And Cap pulls off his mask. But maybe this will help to convince you. So, it is you, Stephen Rogers. And from a distance, we see a couple of Atlantean soldiers that are in suits. But unlike the recent Nomad story of Krang, where he just has a fishbowl on the top of his head.
Right. Yeah. He's upgraded.
Yeah. These are actual, they look like space suits, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They're much cooler than cooler looking, I should say. You're not, atmospherically cooler, but they're much cooler looking than the fishbowl head that made Krang look like Ming the Merciless, right? These look like battle suits that are designed for Lemurians or Atlanteans to fight on land.
Lord Krang, look. What? This wasn't part of my plan. Namor was to perish in the battle with the land dwellers. And look, it's Krang again, Bob. Like we were just talking about Krang, right?
He's like a bad penny. He just you drop him and then he shows back up.
Orthus, we must convince the others that Namor has been enthralled by the land dwellers and has turned against us, leaving us with no choice but to strike the final and fatal blow in this battle. Raise the tentacles, Orthus. Else when? Not elsewhere. Else when? In Jackson, Wyoming. And we're seeing a house in the valley of a mountain range.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not. I don't think it's a house that would be typical of that area. Like it's a two-story house with a
Yeah,
two-car garage.
it's not a
You
log
know,
cabin,
no,
right?
no, it's pretty authentic.
Yeah.
Nice job, Susie Q. So what do I owe the pleasure of this visit? You know why I'm here, Ben. Project Excelsior needs a test pilot, and you're the best. I need you on the team. But more importantly, I think Reed needs your help too. The two of you go back a long way. And who do we see, Bob?
Well, this is Ben Grimm before he became the Thing.
And how would you describe him in his civilian identity?
Well, he's a beefy guy, as you might expect from a guy that transformed into the Thing, right? So he's extremely muscular and dense, barrel chested. He's got that rugged jawline and he's dressed like you might expect somebody living in a house in a mountain valley. He's got a flannel shirt on. He's got I know you're gonna like this. Watch cap on. Right.
What the heck is a watch cap?
It's a watch cap, a knit watch cap.
It's a knit cap.
It's a watch cap.
He's
Yeah,
not watching anything.
he is. He's standing on his deck and he's watching the world go by. It's a watch cap, man.
He
It's a
says
it's a
so.
military. He's a Navy guy.
Yeah.
Why do they call him Major? Yeah, now that's got me thinking. Right?
Who called him major?
Was he Major?
Who called him major?
I thought we referred to him earlier as Major Ben Grimm.
Did
Hmm.
I?
I don't
Is
know.
is major not something that's in the Navy?
No. It'd be a lieutenant commander in the Navy. Huh, interesting.
I didn't know that. I am not familiar. So
I'm not,
major
yeah.
would be in which
Well, the Army,
armed
the Marines,
forces,
and the Air Force. So,
but
yeah,
not the Navy.
but not the Navy. And he served, I thought he served in the Navy during World War II.
I thought he was a pilot.
Backstory. Could have been a Navy pilot.
That's true.
Yeah. Interesting. I don't know. I don't know enough about. I honestly, I'm betraying my ignorance here of the Fantastic Four.
Hmm. So yeah, Ben Grimm is just kind of leaning on his railing on the front uh, porch of his very nice house in the valley of these mountains. We've been down this road before, and the answer is still no. Some things are just better left in the past. Then I'll get to the point. Someone hacked into the Excelsior data files 2 days ago and downloaded the tech specs for the ship. My people traced it to Eastern Europe before the connection was broken. We're in a race, Ben. A race to reach the stellar anomaly. Back at school, you helped redevelop the new astro navigation system for the Excelsior. You know it inside and out. That could be the edge we need. I I want to help you, Susie, but I can't. Besides, I'm not a fighter jock anymore. This is my life now. It's quiet, but I like it. Come on, Ben. There's got to be more to it than that. Reed told me you always dreamt of becoming an astronaut. This opportunity will get you one step closer. Is this because of what happened to you in the war? No. Because I'd be your boss? No. Then what is it? Ever since the day Reed first introduced us, we've always been honest with each other. So why won't you talk to me? I just can't. What are you so afraid of? Ben looks away and says to himself that I may be falling for my best friend's girl. I never thought of you as a coward, Ben. Sorry to have bothered you. And she walks away. Susie, wait. Uncle Jake didn't raise no coward. I'll go back with you. I'm sorry, Ben. I had no right to say that. Hey, I never could say no to a pretty face, especially yours. Whatever problems I got, I'll just have to deal with them. Thank you, Ben. This will mean so much to Reed, to all of us. Oh my God, look at your hand. No! Ben, are you all right? What's happening to me? And as he's saying this, the figure of Sue Storm changes into a completely different character. And he changes from his human Ben Grimm to the thing. And in front of him is no longer Sue Storm, but Alicia Masters. Hey, I said, are you all right? Oh. And we cut to a gigantic thing laying on his back and a Alicia Masters who is coming up and touching his looks like his neck. Susie? I'm afraid not. You must have been dreaming. More like a nightmare. Cass, he's finally coming around. Are you nuts, Alicia? That thing's some kind of monster. We gotta get out of here. Where am I? Who are you? Just take it easy. You're still a little disoriented. Right now, you're in the middle of what's left of my art gallery. My name is Alicia Masters. I'm a sculptor. But what, I mean, who are you? Now, Bob, for those who may not be familiar with Alicia Masters, what can you tell our listeners about her?
Well, she eventually has a relationship with him, right, Rick? And then at one point, she's kidnapped by the Skrull and replaced by a Skrull agent who eventually marries Johnny Storm.
Dude, that was way too much. For our purposes,
Oh,
you could have just been a little bit more
oh,
succinct.
okay.
Like let's talk with the fact that she's
Oh,
blind,
oh,
okay? And she's feeling
oh,
things
got it. Got
face.
it. More specific.
Yeah.
Got
She's
it.
the daughter of
I have no idea.
Puppet Master.
I have no idea.
Puppet
His
Master is
his
a
real name is Masters.
oh gosh. Yes. So Puppet Master is a uh, I wouldn't say a major, but
Yeah.
a continuing villain of the Fantastic Four. He's able to make puppets and then control them.
Hmm.
And but she's a sculptor and she's blind and she yet you're right, she eventually becomes a relationship with Thing, Ben Grimm, but that's in the 616 universe, which is not this, right? And maybe we should just pause here for just a moment to explain what's going on, right? So um there was a this is known as the Heroes Reborn universe. And so this happened after um, Professor Xavier and Magneto became Onslaught. And then Onslaught went on to fight the Marvel Universe. So Franklin Richards, the son of Reed Richards and Susan Storm, who is perhaps maybe the most powerful being in the 616 universe, he when our universe dies because of the battle of Onslaught, he creates this pocket dimension, which is now referred to as the Heroes Reborn dimension. And so, in basically 1996, um, Marvel launched this new universe of the Heroes Reborn, and there were four different titles that came out. So we have this one, Fantastic Four. We have a Captain America as the pre-mentioned Jeff Loeb, Rob Liefeld. There is an Iron Man series, and then there's like an Avengers, right? And so these were the four big ones that came out. So you have the Avengers, you have the Fantastic Four, you have Captain America, and you have Iron Man. And this is what they launched. Now, eventually, after about a year, they realized, mm, let's bring back the 616 universe. We tried to kind of create this new universe and with some success, but ultimately it died off pretty quickly. Fans were clamoring for bring back. And that's when they went from Heroes Reborn to Heroes Return. Now, in the Captain America universe, we are seeing Volume 2 as the Heroes Reborn, the Jeff Loeb, Rob Liefeld. And then when they brought back Volume 3, where Mark Wade and Ron Garney came back for their second stint, that was known as the Hero's Return. So just
Hmm.
to kind of set the scene here.
That's a lot, Rick. And as long as we're paused, if I could, turns out I was wrong about Ben Grimm. He was an Air Force pilot. I was thinking of his grandfather, who was a Marine Corps pilot and fought in World War II and was featured in Captain Savage and his Leatherneck Raiders, which is everyone's favorite wartime comic.
Way to try to, you know, save some face there, Bob,
That's
but
not face. I just had no
you
idea.
you said
Yeah.
you said in the Navy. You didn't say he was
Well,
a Marine.
no, that's his grandfather was in the Marines.
Yeah, but you said
Yeah. Well,
Navy.
that's because
How are you confusing Ben
well,
Grimm with
because
Navy and
Captain
his
Savage,
dad with the Marines? Come on.
because he was his grandfather Ben was shot down as a pilot. I assumed he was a Navy pilot. This character, and I always thought that was Ben Grimm who was featured in number 7 of that series. Turns out it was his grandfather though, who has the same name.
Bob, we don't assume anything here on this show, right? We like to
No,
do our due
never.
diligence
Yeah,
and bring the research.
right. Bring it.
We are known, Bob. We have been doing this for over 250 episodes.
Yeah,
We are known for our due diligence and
yeah.
our.
One of us is right. Yeah. Rick, should we tell the listeners? Let's not tell the listeners. I didn't even know the issue we were doing. I thought we were doing a completely different issue
I
up
was going to leave
until.
that out. I was going to completely leave that out.
You should have heard
Yeah.
my time capsule tonight for Fantastic Four annual number 19. It was
so,
amazing, but
so listeners, yeah, Bob, Bob. I asked Bob to describe tonight's episode, and he starts describing a completely different issue, and I'm like, that's not the one we agreed on.
yeah. Well, I'm prepared next time. So
Oh, God help me. All right. So we are getting back to Alicia Masters, who is touching Ben Grimm's face and says, "But what, or I mean, who are you?" And Thing reacts in a very natural way. Get back. Don't look at me. Watch it, Alicia. You don't know. Calm down, Cass. I don't think he'll hurt me. And you don't have to be afraid either. You see, I'm blind. I'm not some sea monster. My friends and I were trying to stop them when holy Hannah, look at this place. You ladies shouldn't be here, especially when one of you is this place is my life, mister. I've put my heart and soul into this gallery, and now I'm supposed to just abandon it? Come on, Alicia. I think he's got a point. We're in way over our heads here. The name's Ben. Ben Grimm. And I'm sorry about your gallery, Miss Masters, but there's nothing left for you here. I'm afraid it's not as simple as that, Mr. Grimm. You see, mine and Cass's lives aren't the only ones at stake. And at that point, Cass pulls back a curtain to reveal a whole bunch of people, looks like soldiers, who are laying on the ground on blankets, who have been badly hurt and are being tended to wounded. Our building's been turned into a field hospital. I keep telling her it's too dangerous for us to stay here, but Alicia won't leave any of the wounded behind. You got guts, lady. I admire that. But it doesn't change the fact that you're blind. That kind of handicap will get you killed around here. I may be blind, but I'm not helpless. Besides, all of us have problems to deal with and obstacles to overcome in our lives. What's important, though, is that to not allow them to control our lives. We've got to play the hands we've been dealt and make the best of it. I think that you need to realize that it's what's in here that really matters. And she puts her hand on his chest where his heart is. And in your case, Mr. Grimm, I believe it's the heart of a hero. Miss Masters, be careful out there, Mr. Grimm. Please, call me Ben. And thank you. It's Alicia. Besides, what else are friends for, Ben? And Ben goes outside to see where Giganto is still crashing through the city. Geez, she was as beautiful as Moby Dick here is ugly. It takes a bomb to cripes. That's it. And Ben contacts his or presses his communicator. Fury, this is Grimm. I got a plan for dealing with Giganto. Now listen. Meanwhile, we go back to where Namor is there talking with Captain America. What's this? The Fantastic Four? Have you lured me into a trap, Rogers? Trust me, old friend. They are not your enemy. And Reed shows up with Susan and Johnny. It's the Avengers. Captain America, we've got to stop Namor. Stand down, Dr. Richards. Thor and I have the situation under control now. Namor has agreed to. Ah! And just then, Namor hunches over in pain. My lord, Captain America, something's wrong with Namor. What? He was fine just a moment ago. And one of his soldiers comes up to him and grabs Namor. He must have contracted the plague. There must be something we can do. What if we get him back to the ocean? Unhand him. No human may touch his royal personage. Besides, it was your polluting of the waters that created this illness. Enough, Lady Dorma. We must call off the advance. I'm afraid I can't allow that. Who? Krang. What are. Of course, it's clear to me now. Too late, Namor. The only thing left for you to do is die. And he fires at them. Stand back, Lady Dorma. Ah! Watch out! Since you've always had a special fondness for the land dwellers, it is only fitting that you should share their fate, Namor. And with your demise, no longer will a mongrel sit upon Triton's throne, but instead a true son of Atlantis. For I, Krang the Merciless, shall become king and lead the people of Atlantis forth to a new age of power and glory. But Cap isn't having any of that. Then it's up to us to make sure that doesn't happen. Avengers, assemble! And the only other Avenger there is Thor. But I think he's also calling on the Fantastic Four.
It does seem so. He does have Johnny Storm there.
If we're going to bring an end to this war, we've got to find a way to keep Namor alive and in one piece. Agreed. However, defeating Krang's Atlantean Armada may prove to be a more daunting task. Trust me, guys. Reed will find a way to get us out of this mess. We just have to buy him some time. I hope. And it's a nice, big panel of the three of them fighting against the Atlanteans, as well as the giant uh, octopus with the tentacles there.
Yeah, that's what it appears to be. Yeah.
Reed goes over to Sue. Sue, speak to me, darling. Reed? I'm here. Thank heavens you're alive. And then we see Krang speaking to Lady Dorma. Now, with the great whale under my control, feed the terrible might of Atlantis. Destroy them all, Giganto. Richards, Namor friend called you doctor. Can you provide medical assistance to the prince? Sue? I'll be fine, Reed. Go help Namor. Krang's soldiers pull back. Wherefore? There's why, Thor. Look up and pray for a miracle. He's so still. Is the prince dead? No, he's still alive. But his respiration is very shallow. With his hybrid physiology, Lady Dorma, I'm not sure if there's anything I can do for him. Reed, if Namor dies and Krang assumes the throne, the entire planet could be in jeopardy. Though my lord erred in waging this war, you must save him, Richards, for the sake of both our people. What say you? I'll do the very best I can, Lady Dorma. You have my word on it. Reed, there's a hospital just a few blocks away, but we've got to hurry. Giganto is closing on us. Elsewhere, Stand clear, Grim. I'm bringing her down. Took you long enough. What'd you do, Fury? Fly it down yourself? Bleepin' fighter, Jack. Well, I'm still not sold on this harebrained scheme of yours, but we're all out of time and options. Now get inside. Actually, this is where you get out. Huh? What are you talking about? Sorry, Nick, but I'm flying solo this one. And he grabs Nick Fury and tosses him out of the craft. Lighten up, Grim. I ain't gonna let you go on some suicide. Get out before I. Hey! Oops. Don't even know my own strength. Sorry about that, Nick, but you did your part. I'll take it from here. And just what the heck are you gonna do? If I'm right, the quantum drive's our only chance of stopping that mutated whale. But the tricky part's going to be not wiping out the rest of the Big Apple. Right now, all that firepower from your attack ships ain't doing much against that hunter's hide. And he takes a cigar and he lights it and he starts puffing on it. Far as I can tell, Giganto's only got one soft spot, which means I'm going to have to ram this baby down that sucker's throat. Ben, you don't have to do this. Of course I do, Fury, and we both know it. Good luck. Thanks, Nick. Do me a favor and tell the others. Forget it. Time for me to get Giganto's attention. It's getting closer, Reed. Nothing seems to be able to stop it. And Gigantor just. It's a giant whale. I mean, like, how's it doing thoom, thoom, thoom? I don't understand.
But it's got arms.
Where's the thoom, thoom, thoom coming from?
Maybe it's like oh, doom, 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 with its tiny little claw arms.
All right. Namor may be our only hope for stopping Giganto. And sure enough, they got him to the hospital, and Namor's in a bed with a mask over his face, probably getting some oxygen. And Sue's looking out the window at the Giganto, while Reed is looking over Namor. I've managed to stabilize his vital functions, but it's difficult to make a definitive prognosis. What's puzzling about his condition is that the neurotoxin in his body isn't a man made contaminant. It's a cleverly disguised compound derived from the venom of the deadly sea wasp. I've injected a series of antitoxins into Namor's system that should neutralize the lethal agent. But I don't know how his hybrid physiology will. And just then, Reed is being choked by Namor. What? What have you done to me? Namor, stop! Reed was only trying to help you. No, you've tricked me before. And then Lady Dorma comes to the aid. Listen to her, my prince. She speaks the truth. Richard saved your life. It was Krang who deceived you, deceived us all. We need you alive, Namor. And Reed Richards is still kind of choking at Namor's hand, which I don't understand, Bob, because he's elastic,
Yeah,
right?
right.
So if someone's crushing his throat,
Yeah,
can't he just like kind of like change the size of it?
right. He could just like skinify his throat, right?
Krang. Yes, I remember now. He seeks to usurp my throne, which is why we must stop him. But first, you gotta help us stop Giganto. How, human? Without the trumpet horn, the creature is beyond even my control. Colonel Fury, this is Reed Richards. We've saved Namor, but he says there's nothing we can do about Giganto. Well, I'm afraid your buddy Grimm has already come up with his own solution to the problem. Ben, what are you doing? Playing one last card. Now talk to me, Einstein. If I reverse the polarity on the quantum drive and set the auto destruct, it'll generate a massive phase implosion, Ben. But why? Thanks. That's what I thought. Ben, there's got to be another way. It's our best shot, Susie. I figure that I'm the only one who can get close enough to Giganto and still have a chance of surviving the explosion at ground zero. And he flies the ship towards Giganto's mouth. He's taking the ship straight down Giganto's maw. Get out of there! You'll be killed! You know, Susie, I'd be lying if I said the thought hadn't crossed my mind. And it'd be the easy way out. But Uncle Jake never raised no quitter, and he jumps out of the flying craft that's going into the mall of Giganto. And there's a countdown, Bob.
10, 9, 8,
Hang in
7,
there, Ben. The
6,
cavalry's on its way.
5,
Get
4,
out of here, you crazy
3,
kid. You're
2,
going to get sucked
1.
in by the implosion and vaporized. But Human Torch grabs Ben during this and flies him away. No way, man. We're in this together to the end. Now just shut up and enjoy the ride. Yeehaw! You did it, Benji. You harebrained idea actually worked. Giganto is dust. And it is, Bob. The big, gigantic whale is now vaporized. And Krang is not happy. They vaporized the great whale. My plans are ruined. Wait, that voice. It cannot be. And sure enough, we see Namor on the top of a building holding a megaphone. Heed my call, warriors of Atlantis. I order you now to lay down your arms and cease all hostilities against the land dwellers. We have all been misled by the deceit of Lord Krang, a traitor to us all, who sought to usurp my crown in this destructive bid for power. But with the aid of old and newfound friends, Krang's plan has been thwarted. Lay down your arms. This war is over. So speaks Namor, Imperious Rex. Hours later, we see these Atlanteans being escorted away. And there's Namor with his body wrapped in bandages, saluting Captain America. It was good to see you again, old friend. I only wish it could have been under better circumstances. Rest assured that in the future I shall seek redress for my grievances through more appropriate channels. And Cap salutes him back. I'm sure you will, Namor, and I'll do my part to make sure your voice is heard. The secrets from our past, like the existence of Atlantis, must be brought out into the open. As the times have changed, so must we. And then Namor turns to Sue Storms, grabs her hand, and kisses it. Reed Richards, I thank you for saving my life today. And you, Susan Storm, for placing your faith in me. Farewell, Ben Grimm. You proved to be a most worthy opponent. It was my honor. Yeah. Just get out of here while I'm still in a good mood. Hey, what about me?
Pop, 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 pop.
And there's all these photography flashes going off. There they are. What the? Who's after us now? How did you save New York? Can you stretch every part of your body? Is your skin really made of rocks? The worst kind of enemy, kid. The paparazzi. Tell us, are you the newest members of the Avengers? And Johnny Storm doesn't like that. Avengers? Listen up. There's a new team in town, and it answers to the name Fantastic Four. And there's one more page as an epilogue that kind of sets up the next story, so we'll just skip that. And that brings us to the end of this story, which is in at least the Heroes Reborn world, the very first time Captain America meets the Fantastic Four.
Yeah. Wow. Good selection, Rick.
It was your selection. What you patting yourself on the back here? What's going on?
I was going to give you credit because I completely forgot that this was tonight's selection, and you're the
Well,
only one who remembered. So it feels like
uh,
you should get some credit.
yeah, I guess so. I guess so. What'd you think of the overall story, Bob?
I thought it was a pretty good story, right? I mean, it's got all the elements. It's got the Avengers, got Fantastic Four, you got Namor, you got Nick Fury, you got a gigantic sea whale that's been contaminated by industrial waste and mutated into Giganto, and you got Krang the Merciless, right?
Mm-hmm.
So got a lot of great characters, and you got all the elements, right? You got romantic tension, you got the old friends, you got rivalries, you got self-sacrifice. So a lot of good stuff going on in this story.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. And unlike you, I thought the art was actually really, really good.
Yeah, not my cup of tea, but it didn't detract from the story for me, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it was still a very readable and pleasurable experience. So
But you have to admit, okay, even if it's not your cup of tea,
yeah.
the storytelling was still well done, right? As far as the layouts, the flow of the story, the angles, all
Sure.
those
Yeah.
things,
Yeah.
right? Like
Right.
that's classic storytelling.
Right. No, no, very good. You're right in that regard. And I mean to take nothing away from that, right? Because, and it's clear. I mean, Jim Lee puts a lot of effort into that level of detail and just the creativeness of as you mentioned, the different angles and perspectives. So it really helps. It really helps convey that story. It's almost like you're watching, uh, dare I say, like live action, right?
Yeah, no, a lot of detail. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I am not fortunate enough. I have a really really nice original art collection, and I say that not to brag, but to say that I'm not complaining when I say the next part, which is I don't own any Jim Lee in
Mm-hmm.
my original art collection. Someday I think I'm going to rectify that. I think it's going to be an appropriate piece, something obviously Captain America related.
Yeah.
I'm in no particular rush, but I do feel like it's missing from my collection because he is an amazing high level talent. So, Bob, I go first as far as favorite panels, and I'm actually going to go to page number 2, which is a half page splash of Captain America putting the shield on his right arm. And why it's my favorite panel is because one, obviously it has Captain America in it, but I love the pose and I love the angle of looking up to Cap. So, it's a way of Jim Lee as the storyteller saying, we all look up to Cap, right? And these individuals, these soldiers that are in the craft, aircraft, talk about how much they look up to him, right? And so I just love the view of Cap, saying like, uh, "I'm not ready yet," and he puts a shield on his hand, and he's like, "Now I'm ready."
Yeah. Yeah. And it's an odd angle, right? Because not only are you looking up, it's almost like your head is turned and somebody's looking, so your head's tilted a little bit as you're turning and looking up at the person behind you. So it's a very creative angle,
Hmm.
and not not what you would typically see.
And what about you, Bob? What's
Good
your
choice.
favorite panel?
Well, I'm definitely going to have to go. I know we're both working off digital copies, but it's around page 8. It's when Cap confronts Namor and pulls off his mask, that bottom panel of that page.
Mm.
I love that, right?
Darn it.
I know, right? Because how often do we see that happen in Captain America stories where he pulls off his mask mid
Right.
fight, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a winner.
It is. Wow. That was. I'm gonna have to pivot here
Yeah.
because on my. Uh, well, I'm not gonna say. What are you putting on your T-shirt, Bob?
Ooh, let me just get up ahead here.
Oh, that's
So
right. You didn't prepare for this particular
I,
issue.
I'm
So,
good though. I'm good. So I'm going to go page 22. It
uh-huh.
is that salute between Cap and Namor.
Really?
Yeah, I'm a military guy, and and I got to tell you, I have very high standards when it comes to rendering salutes, either in real
Mm-hmm.
life or in art. And these aren't bad. I mean, you can't really see what Cap's doing here, but certainly
Mm-hmm.
Namor, a little high, but man, he's got that arm the way it's supposed to be. So I
Mm.
like that. I like these two guys, former allies, sometimes foes, but they've got a long history and they're showing respect to each other. And I like that. I'd like to have that on a shirt.
All right. Look at you finding some Jim Lee art that you like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't let it go. Can't let it go. Um, all right. So for me, when I'm putting on a t-shirt, I guess I'm gonna pivot here. I'm gonna go with page 15, and I'm gonna go with the very last panel, and that is where there's Cap and Thor and Human Torch, and he
Mm,
says, "Then it's up to us to make sure that doesn't happen. Avengers assemble." Now it's a horizontal thing, so it'd just be kind of across the
yeah.
chest type of
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
But I like that angle.
Yeah. Could be a
And
little
anytime
neat.
you can see Cap saying "Avengers assemble," right?
Yeah. Right. I mean, 6 inches wide, something like that on your shirt, stretching all the way across the front. Be very nice.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Where I come from, that's more like 10 inches.
It never gets old. My son came home from work tonight. He works at a sub shop and he brought home like a whole bag of 8-inch like sub rolls, right? And I'm like,
Uh,
that's like 12 inches, right? What are you talking about? Right?
oh,
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
All
All right.
right.
What's going in your time capsule?
Well, do I get to go first or is it you? I think you get to go first for time
Do
capsule.
I?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I do. I do. I do. I
yeah.
do. Um, so for the time capsule, I struggled with this one. Like,
Yeah.
where is there something? Because this is a different universe, and there's certainly I didn't find anything that was too 90s, that was like you could just look at that and go, oh, that's 100% 90s.
Yeah.
Um, but on page 10, panel 3. Ben Grimm looks away from Sue Storm in his dream, and he says that I may be falling for my best friend's girl. I don't. I'm not a big Fantastic Four fan,
Yeah.
but that's the first time I recall that Ben Grimm has a thing for Sue Storms.
Right. That struck me as odd. I mean, I'm not a big Fantastic Four, but that doesn't ring a bell to me in any way.
Yeah. So with that being the first time that happened, I
Mhm.
felt like, oh, okay, well then maybe that's time capsule worthy. Because if it's the only time that has happened, then it does really speak to a time, right, of
Yeah.
1996, of where they tried to explore this idea that there's unrequited love between Ben and Sue. I'm not
Yeah.
saying I love it. I'm not saying
Yeah.
I'm whatever, but it is a first in my mind and only. So therefore, it goes in the time capsule.
Yeah. I like that. That's a good one.
How about
Yeah.
you?
I'm going to get on my soapbox a little bit here, Rick. So this book came out in '97, right? And so we're talking mid '90s. And that first actually the panel that you picked as your favorite panel with Cap putting on that shield. He's having a conversation with Lieutenant McKinney, right? I'm thinking to myself, I love this. You may have seen. I made a social media post not too long ago. Sally Ride said, "If you can't see it, you can't be it." And I love the fact that Marvel has female combat pilots here.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that you wouldn't have seen 5 years earlier, right? Because it actually was in '94 when the first female flew the first combat mission a woman has ever flown for the United States in Iraq. And so here a couple of years later, a few years later, we see this in comic books, giving the idea to young kids that doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, you could be a fighter pilot, right? You can be a combat pilot. So I'm going to go with Lieutenant McKinney in that representation here in the comic as like a really big milestone for the mid 1990s.
I like it. I think that's an excellent uh, depiction of what should go in a time capsule. So I like that. Good job by you.
Well, this is a fun story.
Yeah, thanks for picking it out, Bob.
Yeah,
Even though you don't remember it.
yeah.
Um, all right, so I just want to announce our guest for next episode is going to be legendary comic book artist Bart Sears. Now, Bart, you're asking, wait a minute, what does that have to do with Captain America? Well, Bart Sears, if you remember back in the early 2000s, there was a secondary Captain America title called
Mm-hmm.
Captain America and the Falcon. And it was written by Christopher Priest. And the first story arc was done by none other than Bart Sears.
Yes, yes. And it's a pretty good read too. It has a lot of really interesting new characters in it, including the anti-cap. Most folks remember the anti-cap, and so straight from the mind of these two guys.
Yeah, I can't wait to get into with Bart on. He has a very unique. I would say his like a bravura type of style,
Yeah.
right? You
Mm-hmm.
know, very uh, big and bold. And actually, he's actually done a series of books on illustration. I think it's called Brutes and Babes.
Mm.
And so he draws, because he draws very muscular men and he
Yeah.
draws very buxom women. And so I can't wait to talk to him not only about his Captain America work, but his overall career and also his artistic style and how he has influenced other creators in the market. So I can't wait to talk to him. So make
Yeah.
sure everybody you come back next episode for that.
Good times. Good times for all.
Well, Bob, any closing remarks?
Nope. This has been super fun, Rick. I can't wait to next week's interview, and I can't wait to see what's coming down the pike because I think talking to you earlier, you've got some good stuff in the works.
Shh, we can't tell.
I know.
All right. If you don't mind, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. If you're on YouTube right now, like, why are you not hitting that thumbs up button? That's like the simplest thing you can do. And also, we'd love your comments. So whether you're in a Facebook group, whether you're on Apple, um, giving us a 5-star review with your comment, whether you are on Spotify or YouTube, leave those comments because we love those and we respond as well. And he's Bob Lucius. I'm Rick Verbanis. And as always, we thank you for listening to another episode of the Captain America Comic Book Fans Podcast.
That we came up with, and it's an annual. It's a double-sized annual, so it's a little bit longer of a story.
No,
But
no, we're doing Fantastic Four 3.
what? No, we're not.
Yes, we are. I sent you, I pinged you, dude. I said,
Oh,
I said,
hold on.
I said, I took a look at Avengers Annual 14 and would prefer to stick with FF3 if you're cool with that. And you gave me a thumbs up.
I thought, but I didn't even like see the number because I thought we were talking about FF19. Didn't I? Isn't that the one that I
No,
recommended?
no. Fantastic Four 3.
Oh my god.
You're talking the one from the 90s, the Jim Lee one.
Oh, you're right. Oh my god. I don't know why I don't know why I went with the annual. I'm sorry. It's all right. We'll just back up. I'm good to go.
Okay.
Let me just open it up.